Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, this is really interesting, I think. Look, I'm not really involved in the culture wars and all that stuff, the pop culture wars. I was protesting what was happening to Star Trek, and some of the people who were attacking Star Trek were also involved in that whole thing. And there's a whole thing around the DCEU and Snyder versus Gunn, and a lot of people, a lot of the maggots are in the Snyder Bros. And I'm not saying all the people who wanted the Snyder Cut released, are maggots, but some of them are, and they're the really aggressive, militant ones, and they really are blaming James Gunn for the Snyderverse being discontinued, because for a while there seemed to be a promise that they were going to bring it back. Cavill was coming back and all this stuff was happening, and that didn't happen. And they blame James Gunn for all this, and they're attacking James Gunn and his new films. Now, I think James Gunn is the worst person to actually be doing the new Superman film. He has a certain way of viewing superheroes, and he should be doing films about some superheroes who are like anti-heroes and subversive and all that. But Wonder Woman, Superman, they're traditional. They need someone with a different sensibility to be working on them. He shouldn't be overseeing the whole of DC. I think he'd be really good with some facets of the DC universe. But that aside, they blame him, like that he came in and he just basically stopped the Snyder universe going ahead, and he's been ruining everything. And apparently they're blaming him for Joker too, because apparently he watched the film and gave a couple of notes and had a few ideas, but they're conveniently ignoring the fact that this is not a DCEU film or whatever. It's actually from Warner Brothers. They're using, characters from DC, but it's not part of the new DC universe. It's not part of the universe he's overseeing or using or anything. And there was some talk that they were going to use the Batman, Patterson, the Batterson or whatever they call him, was going to be the new Batman in the DC universe, and that Joker was going to be, and there's all talk of that, but I don't think any of that's actually happening. It's hard to tell because James Gunn is an idiot, and he is putting together this new universe, and he's being sort of secretive about some of it, but making a lot of changes. But so apparently people are blaming James Gunn for Joker and saying that he came in and changed it and made it what it is, because they just want to attack him because they see him as like an enemy of the Snyderverse, and their idea of the Snyderverse is some sort of MAGA version of the universe, of the DC universe, and I don't even understand how they make that equation and how they see it that way. I saw the Snyder films. I didn't see them as being particularly right-wing or MAGA-friendly or anything, so I don't understand what elements they're latching onto that's part of their ideology that matches their ideology. I don't understand. But I find it really bizarre that there's this whole big debate going on in the background. These people are all fighting amongst themselves about, the DCEU and the Snyderverse, and most general audience members have no idea what they're on about because they're not invested in the culture wars like myself. I don't really know what they're on about, what's happening anymore. I was aware of it in relation to Star Trek because I was protesting. This channel was basically created, partly because of Madonna videos, but the rest was to protest what Kurtzman was doing with the Star Trek TV series, and that was purely about what he was doing with the universe and the licensing and the canon issues. It had nothing to do with politics, nothing to do with anything. Like, these people had problems with a black female lead, they had problems with gay characters, they had problems with trans characters, they had a problem with left ideology and progressive ideology, all these things that I support and think are the only good things about the new Trek shows. But I got sucked into all that side of things because, well, if you don't like, they were drawing that tribal line, like, oh, if you don't like Star Trek, you must be a maggot, you must be a bigot who hates black women and gay people and all this. And like I said, those were the parts of the new Trek universe that Kurtzman created for himself, that is a separate universe from the original canon Star Trek universe and everything. Those were the only things about that show that were worth it. Those new Trek shows, the only good thing about them was the representation and the validation of human emotion and doing stories that weren't just centered around traditional patriarchal storytelling sort of traditions and all that sort of stuff that these people cling on to, no pun intended, cling to. So yeah, I just find it all fascinating and interesting and bizarre. And you just realise these people are having that whole little war unto themselves on the side, and most people like myself and the general population, or the general fan population, which is still not, the extremists have their own little bubbles, and then there's like the general sort of fan bubble, and then there's like the general audience who sort of is aware of us but has no idea what they're on about, and we don't even know what they're on about half the time because they're extremists. And yeah, so it's just weird. I just saw a couple of videos that were talking about their current state of political insanity. I'm like, wow, that's happening? Interesting. Wow, okay. Happy to view it from a distance and move along.